The 13th floor. The 13th floor.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 13th floor where the furniture isn't always the best, but the views are amazing. I am your moderator, B. Jones, and I got my man BJ in the corner. You're on mute.
Sorry about that. I had to cough real quick. Sorry about that. What's going on? All good, baby.
To drop this gun.
Protection is necessary. Faison, what's happening, brother?
All good. Got a good story to share today. So right now I'm feeling like Lizzo. Feeling good as hell.
You blowing everybody's speakers right now, brother.
Oh, is that loud? I'm trying. People, I apologize.
DJ
For anyone
in the
who
mix.
hit it. I'm trying my hardest. I'm trying.
That's all right. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. Pressure Dot, what's going on, baby?
Another beautiful day in Zamunda. No complaints over here, man. We just coasted.
We coasting, man. We're going to coast all the way to that fresh ovation. We got the gratitude challenge, man. What you grateful for today?
Today's gratefulness, I believe, was involved in.
Is he really that grateful?
I know, right? Damn. I was trying to be specific on what, because I had Ryan challenge me because I had missed yesterday, but early this morning when I woke up, I went ahead and posted. But then Ryan got on me talking about I needed to do something fresh that was new today. And so as soon as I got out the gym, and that's what it was, as soon as I got out the gym, I went ahead and posted that I was grateful that my gray hair game is weak, that I don't have no gray hairs. The ones that I did have, I'd actually plucked out. And contrary to popular belief, the ones that I plucked out, I haven't seen them jokers since. So, knock on wood. But we out here, we live, we fresh evade the Gratitude Challenge 2020. We'll talk more about it later. Swing that back.
Coach K, we on you, man. What's going on in your world?
Nothing, man. I'm here.
Oh, even with a headache, you made me laugh. I appreciate that.
Girl,
Thank you for the laugh.
There it is. There it is. Well, welcome, man. Happy all y'all are here joining us on this very good Tuesday evening. I want to throw it out there, man. I want to get you guys' take on what's going on in the world right now, and just seeing how it's impacting y'all. Because we had the bombings just occurred not too long ago in Baghdad, right outside of Baghdad. Then we have assassinated the general down in Iran. So I really want to get you guys feeling as where we are in this period in time, because it seems that war is becoming more and more imminent, or it's seeming more and more of an option or going to happen. And I was just having a conversation, with my family on, how we feel about, the situation being so close to DC-1. The impact that the killing of this general in Iran has had over there, and how we want to, protect our family. Like, we even have conversations, and I think we had this conversation maybe a couple of years ago when Trump got into office about leaving, but it just seems that it's coming to a head a lot more quickly. So I want to get you guys' thoughts and see where y'all are at in this particular point in time.
Two great, one was a good meme. The other was something interesting I saw that occurred. So the good meme was pretty much showing Trump is ruling the country like Suge Knight ruled Death Row, where it's crazy to watch and see these type of actions take place, and how much of I'm going to do what I want to do in the weird dance that goes on, that if you saw anybody else, aka Obama, operate and move in any type of way close to what he's doing, this country would be in turmoil. Like, it'd be crazy. But then the second piece was that I saw that Ludacris just had recently taken his family, and they all have gotten citizenship in Ghana. And it's something that I'm seeing a lot of. I've heard a lot of amazing things specifically about Ghana. but I'm seeing a lot of us making that migration, right? And taking that step of going somewhere else, where in seeing that, the thought kind of was more open in my mind, and it was an interesting thing to think about, of saying, dag, would I really transport myself to Africa?
You could do so if you started to like get your stuff together, get your housing built. I mean, your money can go a long way there. Just from now, I'm not sure about Ghana, because Ghana is obviously becoming a tourist place to go over the last couple of years, especially now with the anniversary this year being everyone's going back to celebrate and enjoy there. But other areas, Abuja and Lagos and Nigeria, you can get a nice house built out and live there for a long time and find work. You can start a business there easily. Unfortunately, some parts are still corrupt, so you have to pay your way in, but it's doable for that.
Yeah, I don't think look, I've been down here in South Florida forever. You know what I mean? In my adult life, I have not made a step of saying, yo, I'm about to skip out of this area. So it's more my thought process of, wow, not only moving away from Florida in America, like to think of, I haven't even visited Africa yet. So to just think of my ability to adapt, while I don't doubt it, I just, just the spark of interest of a new culture and experience. And also being, I know how I feel when I get the opportunity to go to DC, to go to Baltimore, to go to Atlanta and see people of color doing everything, and the feeling that it gives me there. So I don't know how overwhelmed or what would happen in my body being in Africa. Like, it's just more of that type of thought process.
Yeah, and that's a lot to handle, man. You know what I'm saying? Just completely uprooting, right? Going to a foreign country or a seemingly foreign country. But I think that thought process in itself, wanting to feel that and experience that, I think would be a big driving factor. I've actually seen on TV, I think there's a show where they do show how you say like families just uprooting and going to Ghana and getting the citizenship and things of that nature. For us, it's not just like moving, our immediate family though, because we have so many, so much extended family here. Getting there, being able to stabilize, where can you do that and do that most expeditiously, is really the call to question, for us at this point. I mean, we have people in certain countries that we could probably call on to kind of set certain things up, but it's just hard, you know what I'm saying? Like trying to set up that infrastructure, especially all the way in Africa, I believe.
It's a big different story when you're talking about one, one person as opposed to, all 27 of us. Exactly.
Yeah.
Forget a family generate. Like, we got the mama and the papa and the faja and the faja.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's but is it on the opposite spectrum of things? Is it okay to be ignorant to all this is going on and just say, like how, as much as the war, and if there is a war, hopefully God forbid there isn't, if there is a war, how it will affect you, or how much time will it take to actually affect the average me? And think about that, and as the ignorance of like, I see on news, I see all this jibber jabber from different channels in the gym or on YouTube, whatever. But then think about like, okay, that's just more, it's to turn to entertainment versus actually a thought. Like years ago, there was a war, like you were preparing, buckling down your house and being fearful. Now I think I see it with the ignorance. I see it more as just like entertainment to hear, because you're always so far from it, but you're never so close to the actual action. Or you become numb because of everything else going on, that it's just like another story for us this week.
Until there's another plane running into the side of the Pentagon.
Exactly.
I mean, I feel like it's like Desert Storm. Having been through Desert Storm and knowing it wasn't like Vietnam, you know what I mean? You hear the stories and have the understanding of how it was to be in America back then, that it's, while I am aware of it, I am not like feeling like, oh man, that means that, my life is about to be altered some drastic way, because the same thing while Desert Storm was coming and arriving, it was, a lot of talk and interest around it, but at the same time, I don't feel that I personally or many around me. And I mean, granted, I don't have many people in service that I know and things of that nature, but still, it hasn't trickled down to me. However, I do know things like currently right now, the price of gold apparently is skyrocketing, which is directly impacted by the what Trump has done. And so there are already ramifications, but at the same time, like, I'm not a gold wearing dude, so it doesn't impact me, but there are ways that, it does wind up impacting.
Whenever there was fear, you always can bet on commodities going up. Gold, things that can be traded across the world without worry.
Yep.
So precious metals always go up. And then when the economy is doing great, those things drop like gold. So
like gold.
Drop like gold. Exactly. The weight of gold is heavy.
The weight. Okay, I'm with you. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's going straight to the bottom. It's an anchor. I got you.
So I just wanted to point out, one, Ludacris did not get citizenship in Ghana. He actually got citizenship in Gabon, which is where his wife is from. And then they went over and hung out in Ghana. Two, in all of our lifetime, there has been very few times we have actually been at war. So just think about it. We've been through Desert Shield, Desert Storm, Kuwait.
Iraqi freedom.
What? So are you speaking of
Iraq,
war in America? Because typically we don't fight the wars here. It's always on whoever else.
No, it's always someplace else.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Someplace
Yeah.
else.
Mm-hmm.
Iraq, Afghanistan. So for the greater part of our lives, we've been at war with somebody. Prior to that, if you think about what was my man Oliver North, the Iran Contra affair.
Yes.
This stuff goes back. So we were messing around with Manuel Noriega at some point. It's just always somebody out there making money off of somebody's war. Don't get me wrong, war is absolutely real. And unfortunately for the soldiers that have to go over there and fight, you definitely feel for them and wish that they weren't in that situation. But they took an oath and they signed up to defend and to basically follow the orders of their superior officers. So, our hearts go out to them and prayers out for them, because they're the ones that are on the front line that are actually experiencing whatever's actually really happening. Don't get it twisted. I don't believe that the media always gives us the true story. We get the version that they want to show us. You've seen enough things and enough stuff has been questioned as to what the actual motivation is behind going to war and what happens, but it's there. As far as being able to pick up your family and go somewhere, I mean, really and truly, if it turns into a world war, that's when it gets to be, if war is on our doorfront, what are we going to do? I have no idea.
Yeah, the whole thought of picking up and leaving, I've never even considered that. The thing I have considered, because I remember it might have been beginning of Afghanistan, and somewhere around that time, maybe a couple of years before, there was an article published about exactly what Brett was talking about. Like historically, we've never fought a foreign war here on U.S. soil, but the idea of it actually happening is probably greater today than almost than it has ever been, just because of technology, the way that arms are being set up and could be fired from anywhere in the world and make it across the entire globe. But the main thing around for us that kind of scared me and made me realize was they had a map up in the U.S. and I just tried to pull it up again. I can't find it right this second, about the most prime locations to be aware of in the United States. And one of the main things that caught my attention were the amount of nuclear power plants with reactors that are in the U.S. As prime targets, for potential targets. And that was really scary because out in South Florida, there's one. A lot of people don't notice or realize they're living near a nuclear power plant or a nuclear reactor. But that part, there's 60 commercially operating nuclear power plants and 98 reactors in 30 U.S. states. So that's the type of information locally that's like, okay, that's interesting to keep an eye on. Again, I've never thought about picking up and leaving the country. That has never even been a consideration, right? All that to say that a sense of comfort in the U.S., people just need to be aware of what's going on, pay attention to what's going on. In that sense of comfort, we're not as protected as a lot of people think we are, just because of the threat of things out there now that people are upset at the U.S. as a whole, right? And we talk about world war. Yeah, there are people that back, but look at the relations amongst nations today and the way things have been going under different leaderships across the world, not just here at home. And we think of allies and enemies. The threat is real. So again, those troops, like Kay said, the troops, heart and prayers go out to them right now, because they're the ones right now that, because of whatever action going on, are going to be the first to feel the effects. But what can we do? Support. And just be ready to mobilize locally to help one another, because if this so happens, like, it's going to affect everybody.
Very true. I actually saw another interesting, I think it was an article, but pretty much Bill Gates is adamant about saying that there is going to be, within the next decade, a new like super disease that is going to have the potential to knock off at least 30 million people.
Wow. I'm not looking forward to that.
Yeah,
VJ, you're 97 active or licensed to operate in the U.S. and there's only 3. There's 2 in Arizona, 2 in California, and 1 in Wisconsin. Everything else is east of Mississippi.
Wow.
So all that weight is on the East Coast, pretty much.
I never be
Yeah,
I never worry about
where
attacks in South
Wisconsin
Florida.
is.
What
What'd
do
you
you
say?
say?
I just I need to know where that one in Wisconsin is. I'm real close.
Ah,
that sense of comfort though, that's the major motivation here, because you think about it and the magnitude of the recent events. I think that this country has been on such a decline over the last 3.5 years that there is just, it's like there's an omen almost brewing to topple it, and I think that we're just like a speeding bullet headed towards it. When you look at the amount of Middle Eastern influence that is already in this country, I think about, I spend a lot of time thinking about, okay, how many splinter cells are possibly any and everywhere within the country? And we already know that a lot of Middle Easterners immigrate. You know, they set up their businesses, they send a lot of money back home to help in whatever ways that they tend to help. And when you look at the magnitude of the events that took place in, you know, that part of the world, it's not just the government that is being affected, it's the people. So when you have such a shattering of I guess collaboration in the US, you know what I'm saying, it's just split across the board, and then you couple that with a country like Iran, who is in the midst of some unsettledness between the people and the government, that has gelled on the onset of this killing of their general. Not only do you have the government and the coalition of folks over on the Middle Eastern backing each other, but you got the people pushing it now. And I don't know if any of you guys had the opportunity to listen to the interview from the foreign minister of Iran that was on CNN, but he spoke he spoke a lot of truth in that interview, in, you know, the actions that our country has taken towards the Middle East. The one thing that I am trying to kind of piece together is who this general actually was and why he had a target on his back. I haven't
So
gotten.
they
I'm
haven't
sorry?
released. So that the whole thing was that they say there was an imminent threat to the U.S., but
That's bullshit.
there's been no detailed release of what this
Right.
threat
Threat
was
was
and
not
where.
only that interview that you're talking about, I actually saw a piece of it where Buddy was very openly discussing the fact that, hey, there will be repercussions.
It has to be.
We're not going to discuss what those repercussions will be, but no, when they are seen, we will take full responsibility for the repercussions that will happen. Another piece that I noticed though too was that there seemed to be more of a feeling of Trump needs to die. I don't know if you guys heard about the bounty on him. They put an $80 million bounty on his head, but
Really
that
now?
I
What?
feel that there's more of a feeling of it wasn't the people as much as
wasn't the
it
people.
was, the man. And so there's not as much focus on like, yeah, we're about to send over nuclear bombs to blow up, a state. It's more like we are trying to figure out the way that we can actually get to destroy some government stuff or directly get to him.
Yeah, and that's I want to put that out there first. It's not us. You know what I'm saying? That's making
Facts.
these decisions. It's a certain subset of people. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, BJ.
So one of the things I was looking up, because we keep hearing about this general being killed. One thing I didn't hear, and this conversation sparked up the interest again. I just looked it up. Like, so we talked about the general being a target, and that was a drone strike. If people didn't know that, the thing was there were 9 other people that were killed in that attack as well, and
One
it
of
seemed
them
like it
being
was a
from
motorcade.
Iraq. Mhm.
Yeah,
Nine other passengers were also killed, including the deputy chairman of Iraq's Popular Mobilization Forces,
Mhm.
and then another guy, I'm not gonna butcher his name, who was a listed terrorist in Japan, U.S., and United Arab Emirates. So there were other people involved but right before we recorded right now, that's when I got the news that like Iran just fired more than a dozen missiles at near 2 U.S.
air base, right?
air bases in Iraq. And right now, 45 issued a statement that all is well. We're surveying. It doesn't seem like many casualties. I'll be addressing the nation in the morning. Just look at the way people handle stuff and respond to stuff. It's like lack of empathy, lack of any type of feeling associated with it. It's almost just like it's a game, and this is the move. I'm plotting my next move, and the people will worry about later on. There's no type of
It's almost inhumane. The
right.
way that
Like where's the
100
human connection, right?
100%.
You would expect
inhumane.
your leader, right, to address something, like get on national TV, get on, say something. Like, I don't care if it's we're investigating. What you're gonna tweet something. Like, I'm done right now. Like this is like senseless to me.
I just watched the what was it on CNN or something? Remember the 2000s? They did one for like a couple different like decades or time periods where it's like they'll break down what was cool and interesting about that period with TV, movies, music, XYZ. But they were talking about the not only the war, but also they were talking about Katrina and how Bush handled it, and then showing like how he flew over first and didn't even stop or do anything or say anything. But it's that same type of feeling of just like, what are you doing? Like, where's your thought process at? And it shows how how shocked are you over there? Like, what are you doing that you don't have nothing to say? That's what your position is supposed to be about, is to provide that comfort, especially in these times when it's like, yo, is it about to hit the fan? Is everything about to be over? You're supposed to come. It's smooth. Don't worry. We under investigation. Things are going on. Things are en route. But to just be like, Tuya, man, y'all be good. I'm about to go take a nap and holla at Bologna, whatever the hell her name is, and we'll be up in the morning. I'll hit you guys up. I'll talk back. That is just it's a slap in the face, man.
Did any of you guys see, or have any of you guys watch late night shows, NBC, CBS, ABC, and all of them talking about 2016, where he said that Barack would go to war in November just to make sure he's reelected for next year. How pathetic it is, and it's just funny. I mean, I'm just tying it all in. Obviously, there's two sides to every story, but it's just funny because it literally is like this is the beginning of election season, serious election running, and now it's like, okay, let's just do this and get started.
Exactly what he said, Barack.
So,
that is, it's wild.
Man, what's even crazier is how much this presidency follows the storyline in House of Cards. I don't know if any of y'all watched that show.
Nah, I'm not a House of Cards.
I watched it, but I haven't seen it after he was kicked off and the chick took over.
Well, it got away from it then, but up until he died and everything, I think the 2 seasons before the final season, a lot of the same stuff that happened in that series is kind of what we see in how, as far as like the distractions and smoke and mirrors and things being created to create a sense of hysteria amongst the masses to keep him, keep the president in office and maintain power and control. Like shit is crazy.
That's all it's about. That's all it's about. That's what them shows do is
Imitating life.
Yeah, they bring the light to how corrupt our government is, right? It shows not only like how in all of these situations where you're just like, man, there's no way somebody like they will show you exactly drawn out step by step the crazy moves that like no, and exactly when this should have been what stopped it. This is how we went ahead and bypassed that. That is crazy.
Yeah, crazy. So we're gonna go ahead and leave that there, ladies and gentlemen. We'll keep you updated, or we'll follow the updates and keep this as a semi-running topic on the show. I want to go around the room before I get to you in the Fresh Ovation, Fresh and Art, for your Arts Corner. I want to talk about the first week of the year, baby. Coach K, you had some amazing things that you was talking about kicking off for the first week of the first part of the year, and we're about 10 days in dropping in this podcast, man.
Yeah, and I ain't do none of it.
So what the hell is going on, bro?
Help me help you.
No, that's not true, Kay. You started to figure out the plan of action for monetarily what you're going to do for it here. So you have started part of your plan.
Then you build, then you succeed.
Yeah, did I talk about that on the podcast? I don't even know if I talked about that on the podcast about the money thing.
You did not, but it's a part of your building of the financial future.
Silently doing, right? But,
nah, bro, that's a part of you being your best self. So monetarily, you taking care of business. So what we talking about?
As far as like the Rebirth Challenge and things like that, yeah, man. I'm like a lot of the people out there. A lot of the people that said they were gonna do this and do that. We 10 days in, or almost 10 days in. What's today? 7th. Today's 7th. We close to 10 days. And having taken that first step, right? But the good news is that I have been looking at stuff that needs to change and things that need to happen. But I'm gonna save it for my thing at the end, because if I say it now, then you're gonna come to me and I ain't gonna have nothing at the end. So yeah.
Boom.
Ladies and gentlemen, at Only Carol on Facebook, man. Get in his DMs, get on his posts and everything, and challenge him to get that Rebirth Challenge out there to everybody.
The look of getting to his DMs.
All right, everybody, man. It's gonna be all above board.
Yeah, I'm at Only Carol on Instagram. On Facebook, you can find me at Carol Cadallo. That's Codallo, and it's not Carol. That's Kerrol, and that's where you can find me on Facebook. If you just put in Kerrol, chances are I'm gonna.
I'm about to say you got to be like one of the few that's gonna come up, if not the only. I was so confused when Jason told me I was moving. I said, holla at my man Carol. I was so confused. But anyway, that's a story for another day. Fresh, I think we're going to go to you for the Fresh Ovation first this week, man.
Well, let me clear my throat. This one right here was the highest liked affirmation I busted as this new year has dropped off. And so it goes a little something like this. You a paper chaser. You got your block on fire. You remain in the G until the moment you expire. You know what it is. You make nothing out of something. You handle your biz and don't be crying and suffering. I encourage you all to repeat this affirmation at least twice in the mirror before you leave your house. Definitely a very powerful one, especially to start the year off with. You know, all of us paper chasers, excuse me. So keep the block on fire. We out here, we fresh evaded, we motivated, we getting it. Let's go.
Yo, the music started in my head as soon as you said that first line.
Classics, man. Classics. I appreciate that one.
If you don't know,
hey, yeah,
how old are you right now? Jesus.
Exactly.
Bro, I can tell you at least 25 or less. And the reason I say that is because I was riding with two of my business partners, and they're around that age. And I don't know I can't remember who remade the song, but somebody remade 400 Degrees, made a song with the 400 Degrees beat. And it came on, and I was jamming. And then this newness, they just I was like, what the hell is
everything today. Every single freaking song that's out there today is a remake of something that was 90s or early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
True. Like, what the hell is this?
It's the same thing our parents were saying about our songs.
Right?
So
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
that's what's going
I can vividly remember when Otis came out, Kanye and Jay-Z, and I was listening to it in my grandma's house. And she was like, BJ, y'all done messed up another one of our songs.
Why they do Otis like that?
Crazy. Faisal, what you got this week, man?
This week, let's see. What's happened this week? Two good things. So, one official move is I got the official letter. So with that official letter process, I guess the thought is that reality comes when you're not expecting it to come. And are you ready for it? But at the same time, you can't take everyone else's thoughts to your own mindset. Now let's dig deeper into that, because everyone has a view or a picture of, everyone has a view or a picture of what they want you to do, what they want you to see. But you have your own thought and process behind it. And just because everyone else is telling you what they think you hear, stay true to your focus and what you want. And if their picture fits in yours, add it to the collage. But keep your focus on what you want to do, because you can be diverged very quickly, and you can want to ruin the opportunity because you're waiting for someone else or living out their view of what you want to do. So just stay true to your path, see your end game, and explain why you've chosen your path. And just hold true to that. And if you do that, you'll be as good as you can be.
There it is. Shout out to Art and his crickets. We Gucci.
Man, let me tell you something, man. I have never heard something mimic. Everybody had that old school day bed with the black bars on the end of it. And if you would shake that joker, it would make that same sound them crickets
That
make.
is, a great analogy there, sir. That leads right to you. Go ahead and take them over there, B.
Right to me. So, hey, we just talked about war and all this craziness is going on. And and it's so fitting that Brett asked me about all the things I said I was going to do. And that's the thing that I don't want you all to forget. Don't pay attention to this external, potentially fabricated war and lose sight of the war that you committed to for 2020, because I feel that there is a huge shift happening in the human conscience and the human psyche, and we're headed towards the next evolution of who we are and what we stand for. And all of a sudden now this war happens, and that's going to distract you, and you're going to lose sight of what it is you said you were going to do. So refocus, be aware, but still be intentional about the things that you're doing. And one of the biggest things I want to tell you is you need to look at your environment, because that's what's happening right now. They're trying to impose an environment on you, an environment of fear, an environment of insecurity. And you need to look and look at your environment, find the people around you that will continue to help you focus and to move without fear, because that fear will keep you in the same place that you were in 2019, 2018, 2017. And if you want to move forward in 2020, you need to do an environment check, get people around you that will help you move in confidence and help you move in courageously to pursue and to obtain your goal. That's all I got, man. Y'all marinate on that.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, you can get this podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Vimeo, YouTube, SoundCloud, everywhere else that podcasts are streaming each and every week. You can follow us at 13th Floor, please, on all social media, Facebook, Instagram. But that's it, unless my man BJ want to drop some knowledge.
Yo, I was good Lord, I can't get that one.
Give him a second. Give him a second.
He was on K Sparks. He said something, and it really went me back to. I was trying to find the exact verse. Something that I always heard and kind of knew, but I never actually wanted to make sure I quoted right. And it kind of fits to kind of wrap up everything here. It's from Habakkuk 2. And
It's
many
from
people
where?
say it different ways, but Habakkuk 2.
Habakkuk 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
Write the vision, make it plain on tablets. You may have heard it. Write the vision, make it clear. But write the vision, make it plain on tablets, so he may run who reads it. For still the vision awaits its appointed time. It hastens to the end. It will not lie. If it seems slow, wait for it. It will surely come. It will not delay. Again, we talk about the Vision 2020, whatever you're gonna call it. These distractions that are out there, everything that's going on. Again, these are the things that are affecting us day in and day out, and it affects our families and finance and things like that. But having that faith, the whole scripture relies around faith, right? And faith in pursuing things to the end. Those distractions are going to come, whether it's worldly views, whether it's family views, financial interruptions, whatever case may be. But you have to stay grounded. You have to keep faith that moving forward and making sure that that it's clear. We talk about all the time, make it clear. Don't just be very precise with what you want, what you're going after, and just keep that vision in sight. And we're gonna make it through this, ladies and gentlemen. We got each other. We're gonna support each other, make it through this. Yeah, that's it for me.
Hey Brett, before you wrap up, I got one thing that I think I want to make sure I share with everyone, since it's so early in the new year. In another month or two, most of us will be going through reviews. Those who have jobs, you get your review, your yearly review. You'll look back at 19, and you'll say, or maybe in April, and you'll say, "What did I do? And what did I accomplish? What was my goals?" When you do your reports. Start thinking about 2021 now, meaning start to track every day you finish your work or whatever you want to do. Take a second to write down what you accomplished today, what you finished, so that when it comes time in 2021 for you to look back and say, what did I accomplish in 2020? You can look back at all those 365 notes and find the 20 things you can say, well, I did the best at, or I was proud of, and put that for yourself. One, personally, you're an entrepreneur, but if you're not an entrepreneur and you're working for someone else, you have that record of what you did. It's always hard to recap in your head, but if you write it down, you'll have it for yourself.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. We are done here on the 13th floor, where the furniture isn't always the best, but the views are amazing.
The 13th floor.
We know anybody that does
The 13th floor.